It starts with a sound, sharp, sudden, unwelcome. The doorbell. Claire's eyes snap open. The glowing numbers on her bedside clock stab through the darkness. 2:45 a.m. Her chest tightens. Who rings a bell at this hour? At first, she lies still, listening. Maybe it was a dream. Maybe her half-asleep brain imagined it. She tries to convince herself. But then, ding-dong, the sound cuts through the silence like a blade. Claire throws off her blanket, her heartbeat racing faster than her footsteps. She creeps toward the front door, every floorboard groaning under her weight. Her hand trembles as she reaches for the peephole. Nothing. The porch is empty. She exhales, almost laughing at herself until... ding-dong. This time it's louder, sharper, almost impatient. Her hand pulls back instantly. Fear crawls up her spine. She checks her phone. No missed calls. No messages. No alerts. Ding-dong. Her body flinches. She knows what she heard. And she knows no one is outside. Claire unlocks her phone and pulls up her security camera feed. The live view loads, showing the front porch under the pale glow of a streetlight. Clear, empty, silent. Her breath quickens. Her logical mind screams it's a glitch. It's faulty wiring. It's nothing. But the sound keeps coming, steady, insistent. Each ring forcing her deeper into dread. Ding-dong, ding-dong, ding-dong. It's not random. It's rhythmic, deliberate, like fingers pressing down again and again. Faster, more violent, demanding attention. Claire grips her phone like a weapon, eyes fixed on the live feed. Still nothing. The porch remains empty. No movement, no shadows, just silence, except for the relentless chime. Her pulse hammers against her ribs. The air in the house feels heavier, pressing down, suffocating. She whispers to herself, it's a glitch, just a glitch. But her voice cracks, betraying the lie. She forces herself closer to the door, pressing her eye against the peephole again. Still nothing, and yet the ringing won't stop. Each chime feels louder than the last, echoing through the walls, shaking her bones, rattling her thoughts. She presses her palms to her ears, but it's useless. The sound isn't just in her ears anymore. It's inside her head. Then, silence. The sudden stop is almost worse. The house holds its breath. Claire lowers her hands slowly, ears ringing with the absence of sound. For the first time in minutes, she dares to hope. Maybe it's finally over, but deep down, her instincts whisper something she refuses to hear. The doorbell wasn't ringing on its own. Someone or something was pressing it. And if no one was outside the door, then where were they? Silence. The doorbell had been screaming through the house for what felt like hours. But now, it was gone. Claire stood frozen by the door, every nerve in her body strained, her chest heaving like she had just run a marathon. The quiet pressed down on her, heavier than the ringing ever had. She wanted to believe it was over, that the nightmare had ended. But silence can be more dangerous than sound. Her hand shook as she gripped her phone, the security app still open. The screen showed the porch still empty. Nothing moved outside. No shadow, no figure. Not even the sway of a tree branch. Her lips parted, whispering into the emptiness. Finally, and then her phone buzzed. The vibration jolted her so hard she nearly dropped it. A new notification had popped up across the top of her screen. Bright, simple, unmistakable. Door opened. Her heart stopped. The words blurred as her vision tunneled, but she read them again, desperate for another explanation. No, she couldn't be wrong. That's what it said. Door opened. Her trembling eyes darted to the locks. They were still bolted, still in place. The door hadn't moved. It hadn't opened. Yet the app only sent alerts when its sensors detected something. Her mouth went dry. If the door hadn't opened outward, then it had opened inward. She staggered back, her body instinctively retreating, her legs weak and clumsy against the floor. Her phone slipped from her grip, clattering onto the hardwood. The the screen still glowing with that single horrifying message. Door opened. Her breath came fast now, shallow and sharp. She forced herself to turn, scanning the shadows of her living room. Every corner seemed deeper. Every doorway seemed darker. Her ears strained for the faintest sound, footsteps, breathing movement, anything to prove she wasn't alone. But there was nothing. Nothing but silence. Claire's mind raced. She thought of calling the police, thought of running out the back door, thought of screaming, but her voice was caught in her throat. Her legs refused to obey. Something was wrong. Something was already inside. A sudden creak shattered the silence. A floorboard bending under weight. From the hallway. From inside the house. Claire spun. Her stomach plunging, eyes wide, fixed on the shadows stretching down the hall. She didn't move. She couldn't. Her instincts told her it was too late. The door hadn't opened for her. It had opened for someone else. And now they were here. And as the chilling notification glowed on her screen, Claire realized the door hadn't opened for her. It had opened for whatever was already inside. But sometimes, the fear doesn't come from what enters your home. It comes from what refuses to leave your doorstep. The first ring was sharp, unwelcome. Ethan froze. It was 10:37 p.m. He wasn't expecting anyone. No friends, no family, no deliveries. The neighborhood was quiet, most houses already dark. The doorbell rang again. He grabbed his phone and pulled up the security camera feed. The image flickered, then settled. And that's when Ethan's stomach turned. A man stood on the porch. Tall, thin, a hood pulled low over his face, shadow swallowing his features. His hands were clasped behind his back, body motionless. He didn't knock. He didn't speak. He just waited. Ethan unmuted the camera mic. His voice shook as he asked, "Can I help you?" The man lifted his head slightly, revealing a grin stretched far too wide. Then, in a low, cracked whisper, he said, "Can I come in?" Ethan's skin crawled. His thumb hovered over the mic, but no words came. The man didn't move, didn't blink. The porch light caught the edges of his teeth, shining through that grin. Finally, Ethan forced himself to speak. "No, leave." The man tilted his head slowly, like a puppet's neck creaking on its string. The smile never left his face. He didn't argue. He didn't plead. He just stood there. Seconds stretched into minutes. Ethan's chest tightened with every breath. He expected the man to walk away, to vanish into the night. But he didn't. He just stared at the camera, unmoving, waiting. At 11:15, the man was still there. At midnight, still there. At 1 a.m., Ethan's nerves were shredded. The man hadn't knocked again. He hadn't spoken. He hadn't left. Just that smile, just those eyes fixed on the camera. Sometimes he tilted his head. Sometimes he leaned closer, filling the frame with darkness under the hood. But he never left. Ethan tried to call the police, but the words tangled in his throat. "What do I even say?" he thought. "A man is standing on my porch?" They'd take hours to arrive, maybe longer, and the thought of leaving his locked door to explain was unthinkable. So he waited. He sat in silence, the glow of the camera feed burning into his eyes. His ears strained for every sound, every creak, every shift of the wind. But all he heard was silence. At 2:37 a.m., the man finally moved. His hand twitched. Slowly, he lifted it from behind his back. Ethan leaned closer to the screen, heart hammering. The man's hand rose higher, until his index finger pressed against his lips. A single gesture. Shh. Ethan dropped the phone. His breath came in sharp, broken gasps. He didn't dare pick it back up. He didn't dare look again. The man wasn't leaving. He was waiting. And Ethan knew. He was waiting for the door to open. Dawn crept in. The first rays of sunlight spilled across Ethan's living room. His phone lay dead on the coffee table, the battery drained hours ago. His eyes were bloodshot from staring at the security feed until the screen went black. He hadn't slept. He hadn't moved. He hadn't dared. At 6:12 a.m., the silence broke. Birds chirped. Cars rolled past. The world outside was alive again. For the first time all night, Ethan let himself hope. Maybe the man was gone. Maybe the nightmare had ended. He stood slowly, legs stiff from hours of stillness. Every step toward the front door felt heavier than the last. His hand hovered over the lock. His chest rose and fell, breath uneven. He turned it. The bolt clicked. The door cracked open. The porch was empty. The man was gone. No hood, no shadow, just sunlight spilling over the quiet street. Relief hit him so hard his knees nearly buckled. He almost laughed. But then he looked down. The doormat was filthy, smeared with mud. His stomach twisted as his eyes followed the trail. Footprints, heavy, wet, pressed deep into the fibers of the mat, and they didn't stop at the porch. They led forward, across the threshold, into the house. Ethan's blood ran cold. He staggered back, eyes wide, his pulse exploding in his ears. The trail stretched across the floorboards, faint but clear. Muddy prints winding deeper into the living room. His chest heaved. He remembered the man's grin, the way he stood there all night, waiting, staring, whispering, "Can I come in?" The realization hit like a knife. The man never left. He was never outside waiting to be let in. He had already found his way inside. Ethan's hand fumbled for his phone, forgetting it was dead. His legs trembled as he backed away from the trail, every nerve screaming at him to run. But run where? Out the front door? Into the street? Leave the house behind? A sound froze him in place. A creak from upstairs. Ethan's head snapped toward the staircase. His throat tightened. The air felt thick, unbreathable. Another creak, closer, slow, heavy, deliberate. Someone was moving. The man hadn't been waiting outside all night. He'd been inside, walking the halls, breathing the same air, watching. Ethan stumbled backward until his spine hit the wall. His trembling eyes locked on the dark stairwell. The silence stretched. His own heartbeat felt deafening. Then came the whisper, soft, crooked, the same words as before. "Can I come in?" But this time, the voice wasn't at the door. It was upstairs. Subscribe for more scary stories every day. Like, comment, and share to support the channel.